The 10,000 ships of the Galactic Federation's fleet hung in Earth's orbit, like a constellation of malevolent stars. Their hulls, black as the void they traversed, absorbed what little sunlight reached them, sending back nothing but silent menace. Colonel Rotal stood on the command deck of the assault carrier, Inevitable Justice. His tall, lean frame silhouetted against the backdrop of the blue planet below. Status report. He demanded, voice betraying none of the excitement coursing through his veins. After centuries of tracking humanity's relentless expansion and cataloging their countless wars, the Federation had finally moved to contain the threat. As commander of the 7th Assault Battalion, Rotal would lead the first wave of ground forces. "All assault carriers in position, sir," Lieutenant Miraval responded, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Drop ships prepped and ready, waiting for the surrender confirmation." The year was 3247 by Earth's calendar. Humanity had spent the last 5 centuries tearing itself apart with increasingly sophisticated weapons, their wars spilling beyond their home planet to their fledgling colonies. The Federation Council had debated intervention for decades before finally authorizing this massive show of force. "Any response to our ultimatum?" Rotal asked, his 4-fingered hand adjusting the ceremonial medallion at his throat, a symbol of his distinguished service in the Orion pacification. "Yes, Colonel." Communications Officer Trell's voice wavered slightly. They've sent a message. We surrender unconditionally, that's all." Rotal's silver eyes narrowed. "No negotiation requests, no terms." "Nothing, sir. Just those 3 words, and then all communications ceased." An uneasy silence fell over the command deck. The Federation had expected resistance bluster, perhaps even a foolish attempt at engagement. This quiet capitulation felt wrong. "Launch the reconnaissance drones," Rotal ordered. "I want visual confirmation before we commit ground forces." The drones deployed streaming back footage of Earth's major cities. The images showed empty streets, abandoned vehicles, buildings with lights still burning. But no humans. Not one. "This makes no sense," Major Bren Hawks muttered, his blocky frame leaning forward to study the feeds. "Population estimates put Earth at just over 8 billion. They can't all have vanished." "Sensor readings," Rotal demanded. "No life signs matching human parameters," Miraval reported, confusion evident in her violet eyes. "But, sir, the temporal logs from our outer perimeter sensors show something strange. When we arrived and established the blockade, we detected the expected human life signs. Then, approximately 30 seconds before their surrender message, every human life sign vanished simultaneously." Rotal felt a chill run through his core. 30 seconds, all of them?" "Yes, sir. One moment they were there, the next gone." The colonel turned toward the viewport, staring at the seemingly peaceful blue world below. "Prepare my dropship. I'm leading the reconnaissance team personally." "Sir," Bren Hawks objected, "protocol dictates—" "I know the protocols," Major Rotal cut him off. "But this situation is unprecedented. Inform Admiral Caris of my decision. I want boots on the ground within the hour." The assault carrier's drop bay hummed with activity as the reconnaissance team prepared for deployment. 20 of the Federation's finest soldiers, equipped with the most advanced scanning and defensive technology available. Rotal checked his phase pistol one final time before securing it to his hip. "Team leaders," he addressed the assembled officers, "we don't know what we're walking into. Standard contact protocols are suspended. Your primary objective is information gathering. Where did the humans go? How did they disappear? Was it a weapon, a mass evacuation, or something else entirely? We need answers." The dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, their stealth systems rendering them virtually undetectable. They touched down on the outskirts of what had once been New Delhi, now a sprawling megalopolis stretching across the northern Indian plains. Stepping onto Earth's soil, Rotal immediately noticed the humidity, heavier than the carefully regulated environments of Federation vessels. The city rose before them, its towers reaching toward the skylights, still burning, automated systems still functioning. But silent. Unnaturally silent. Spread out, three-person teams. Stay in communication range, he ordered. The reconnaissance teams moved methodically through the abandoned streets. They found meals, half-eaten vehicles stopped in mid-journey, entertainment systems still playing to empty rooms. It was as if the entire population had simply stepped away for a moment and never returned. Colonel Miraval's voice came through his comm unit. "You need to see this." Rotal followed her coordinates to what appeared to be a central plaza. A holographic display still projected news headlines about the approaching Federation fleet. Nearby, a small drone hovered, playing a hauntingly beautiful musical piece. "It's been programmed to play this on loop," Mira explained, scanning the device. "The composition is titled Across the Stars, and there's a message embedded in the drone's code." "What does it say?" Mira's expression grew troubled. "We're already everywhere." Rotal felt that same chill return. "Keep searching. I want—" His orders were cut short by an emergency broadcast from one of the other teams. "Contact! We have contact!" a panicked voice shouted. "Something's attacking us at the governmental complex. It's not human, it's—" The transmission dissolved into static. "Move!" Rotal commanded, already running toward the coordinates. They arrived to find 3 Federation soldiers on the ground, their environmental suits breached by what appeared to be microscopic filaments. The filaments writhed with purpose, spreading across the fallen soldiers' bodies like a living web. "Don't touch them," Mira shouted, her scanners trained on the phenomenon. "It's some kind of nanobiological hybrid, self-replicating." "Can you contain it?" Rotal asked, backing away as the filaments began to spread across the plaza floor. "Negative, it's adapting to our scanning frequencies. We need to evacuate now." The remaining reconnaissance teams retreated to their dropships, bringing samples of the nanobiological agent in sealed containers. As they lifted off, Rotal watched through the viewport as the filaments spread throughout the complex, consuming everything in their path. Back aboard the inevitable justice. The Federation scientists examined the samples with growing concern. "It's unlike anything we've encountered," the lead researcher, Dr. Lynn Sora, explained. "It appears to be a defensive mechanism triggered by our presence, but its composition suggests it was engineered by humans, perhaps as a last-ditch weapon." "Could it have killed them all?" Rotal asked. Dr. Sora shook her head. "No, Colonel. This technology is sophisticated, but it couldn't have eliminated 8 billion humans without leaving traces. Besides, our temporal logs indicate the humans disappeared before we detected this agent." Rotal turned to Miraval. "The drone message. We're already everywhere. What if it wasn't a threat? What if it was an explanation?" Admiral Carissa's holographic form materialized in the briefing room, his elongated features set in a stern expression. "Colonel Tal, I've reviewed your preliminary reports. The Federation Council is disturbed by these developments. Sir, with respect, we need to continue the investigation. The humans didn't just die, they disappeared. And they left behind technology that suggests capabilities we didn't anticipate. Your recommendations? A targeted search of their scientific facilities. If they develop technology that could evacuate an entire planet in seconds, there must be records, prototypes, something to explain it." Admiral Carissa studied him for a long moment. "Very well, Colonel. You have 48 hours. After that, we sterilize the surface and declare the system quarantined." "Sterilize?" Rotal couldn't hide his shock. "Sir, this is a habitable world. Federation protocols for—" "Have been suspended, Colonel. Whatever the humans have done, we cannot risk it spreading. 48 hours. Carissa out." The hologram disappeared, leaving Rotal staring at empty space. "He's afraid," Bren Hawks observed quietly. "We all should be," Rotal replied. "Assemble a new team. We're going back down, and this time we're looking for answers, not just observations." The second expedition targeted what Federation intelligence had identified as Earth's leading scientific research facilities. Their search eventually led them to a vast underground complex beneath what had once been the Atlantic Ocean. "The energy readings are off the scale," Mira reported, as they approached the submerged facility in their specially equipped dropship. Whatever they were working on here, it required enormous power. The facility's automated defenses had been disabled, allowing them to dock at an underwater entry port. Inside, they found a labyrinth of laboratories and test chambers, all abandoned, but still humming with active equipment. "Spread out. Download any data you can access," Tal ordered. "Bren, you're with me." The two officers made their way to what appeared to be the central research hub. Holographic displays still flickered with complex equations and simulations. "Can you make sense of any of this?" Tal asked, as Mira joined them, already connecting her datapad to the facility systems. "It's incredible," she breathed, eyes widening as she scanned through the information. "Colonel, they were working on dimensional phase shifting, not just theoretical models, actual practical applications. Meaning they found a way to shift themselves out of our dimension. Not teleportation, not faster-than-light travel, but actual trans-dimensional migration." Bren Hawks scoffed. "That's impossible. Even the Federation's most advanced research is centuries away from practical dimensional manipulation." "And yet 8 billion humans vanished in 30 seconds, Tal reminded him. "Can you find out where they went or how to follow them?" Mira's fingers flew across the interface. "They left behind a significant amount of research data, almost as if they wanted us to find it." Her expression suddenly changed. "Colonel, there's a video file here recorded just before the disappearance event." The holographic display shifted, showing an elderly human female in what appeared to be a leadership position. "To whoever finds this recording," she began, her voice steady despite the chaos visible in the background. "My name is Dr. Alana Kozlov, Director of Project Exodus. If you're viewing this, then our plan succeeded. Humanity has departed Earth, not in defeat, but in transcendence." She gestured to the equipment behind her. "For centuries we've watched the stars, knowing we weren't alone. When we detected your fleet assembling at the edge of our system, we accelerated the final phase of our project. The dimensional gateway you see here is not just one of a kind. We've distributed millions of miniaturized versions across the globe, allowing our entire species to transition simultaneously." Her expression hardened. "We leave behind this warning. Humanity hasn't been conquered or exterminated. We've evolved beyond the dimensional constraints you still operate within. We are everywhere now, watching from a phase-shifted perspective. This facility contains an operational gateway. Use it or destroy it, the choice is yours. But know that we are waiting and we are watching." The recording ended, leaving the Federation officers in stunned silence. "It's a trap," Bren Hawks said finally. "They want us to activate their device to follow them into whatever hell they've created." "Or it's an opportunity," Tal countered. "This technology could revolutionize Federation capabilities. Imagine instantaneous deployment anywhere in the galaxy, or secure facilities completely untouchable by conventional forces." "We should report this to Admiral Caris immediately," Mira suggested. Tal hesitated, an unusual sensation of doubt creeping into his mind. "Not yet. First, I want to understand what we're dealing with. Mira, can you determine if this gateway is actually functional?" "I believe so. The power systems are still active and the control interfaces are relatively straightforward. But Colonel, attempting to activate it without proper understanding could be catastrophic." "I'm not suggesting we use it. Just confirm whether the humans were bluffing or if they actually achieved what this Kozlov claimed." As Mira worked, Tal explored more of the facility, finding dormitories, recreational areas, and what appeared to be long-term habitation modules, all suggesting the scientists had lived here for years, perfecting their escape plan. "Colonel," Mira's voice came through his comm unit. "I've completed the preliminary analysis. The gateway appears to be functional, but there's something else you should see." When Tal returned to the central hub, Mira pointed to a new, holographic display, showing a map of Earth with thousands of pulsing points of light. "These are active gateways," she explained. "Smaller than this main facility, but operating on the same principles. They're everywhere: homes, hospitals, even what appear to be portable devices." "You're saying they left back doors," Bren Hawks realized. "Ways to return." "Precisely. And there's more. The dimensional shift doesn't appear to have taken them very far, conceptually speaking. They're not in another galaxy, or even another universe. They're in a phase-shifted parallel dimension that overlaps with our own." Rotal stared at the display, a new understanding dawning. "They're still here, watching us right now, perhaps standing in this very room, just out of phase with our reality." "That's my assessment," Mira agreed. "And given the energy readings I'm detecting, they've been shifting small observation teams back and forth regularly, monitoring our activities." The implications sent a chill through Rotal's core. The Federation fleet hadn't arrived to find an abandoned Earth. They'd walked into an elaborate observation pen with humanity watching from just beyond the veil of perception. "We need to report this," Bren insisted again. Rotal nodded slowly. "You're right. But first, copy all the data you can. The Federation needs to understand exactly what we're dealing with." As they prepared to leave the facility, Rotal noticed something odd: a small drone similar to the one they'd found in New Delhi, hovering near the exit. It wasn't there when they arrived. "Wait," he called to his team. "That drone." Before he could finish, the drone projected a holographic message: a human male dressed in what appeared to be a military uniform. "Colonel Rotal." The figure addressed him directly, sending a shock through the Federation officer. "Yes, we know who you are. We've been watching your investigation with interest. Consider this a courtesy. You have 12 hours before Admiral Caris orders the destruction of this facility and all evidence of our dimensional technology. He has no intention of reporting our achievement to the Federation Council. The concept of humanity evolving beyond the Federation's reach threatens the established order too profoundly." The hologram smiled thinly. "You have a choice to make, Colonel. Destroy the evidence as ordered, or preserve the knowledge of what we've accomplished. The gateway is functional. The access codes are in the files your lieutenant has already downloaded. We'll be watching to see what you decide." The hologram vanished, leaving the drone to clatter lifelessly to the floor. "How could they possibly know about Admiral Caris's orders?" Bren demanded. "Or who we are? If they can observe us from their phase-shifted dimension, they could have been monitoring all Federation communications," Mira theorized, "including the Admiral's private channels." Rotal picked up the drone, examining it closely. "We're returning to the inevitable justice, now." Upon their return to the assault carrier, Rotal found a priority communication waiting from Admiral Caris. "Report, Colonel," the Admiral's holographic form demanded without preamble. "Sir, we've discovered significant information about the humans' disappearance. They appear to have developed dimensional phase shift technology, allowing them to—" Yes, Caris interrupted impatiently. "Your preliminary data transmission already indicated as much. Have you located any operational examples of this technology?" Rotal hesitated for a fraction of a second. "We found evidence of research, sir, but no functional technology." Admiral Caris's expression remained unreadable. "I see. In that case, your investigation is concluded. Prepare your battalion for immediate withdrawal. The cleansing fleet will arrive within 10 hours to sterilize the planet's surface." "Sir, with respect, there's still much we don't understand about what happened here. The scientific value alone is outweighed by the security risk, Colonel. The Federation cannot allow this technology to proliferate. Imagine what would happen if every species with a grievance against the Federation could simply disappear, only to return when we're vulnerable. No, this knowledge must be contained." "Contained, sir, or controlled?" Rotal asked, deliberately echoing the human hologram's insinuation. Admiral Caris's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Careful, Colonel. Your distinguished record grants you some latitude, but do not test my patience. Withdraw your forces and prepare for departure." That's an order. The hologram disappeared, leaving Ro-Tal alone with his thoughts. He turned to find Miraval standing in the doorway. "You lied to him," she observed quietly. "I withheld information pending further confirmation," Ro-Tal corrected. "A standard tactic when dealing with potentially volatile intelligence." "And what will you confirm exactly?" Ro-Tal gestured for her to enter and sealed the door behind her. The human hologram claimed Caris would order the destruction of the facility. He just did exactly that. Either the humans can predict Federation actions with remarkable accuracy, or they're actively monitoring our communications, Mira finished. "But why tell us? Why not just let us report everything and then watch the Admiral destroy the evidence? Perhaps they're testing us. Or perhaps they need something from us that we haven't identified yet." Ro-Tal moved to his private terminal. "What did you find in the downloaded files? The access codes the hologram mentioned?" Mira nodded, activating her datapad. They were exactly where he said they would be. Detailed instructions for activating the dimensional gateway coordinates, for the transition, and even safety protocols. "Too convenient," Bren Hawks said, entering the room and securing the door behind him. "It's obviously a trap." "Perhaps," Ro-Tal agreed. "But consider the alternative. If the humans have truly achieved dimensional transcendence, they've leapt centuries beyond Federation technology. That knowledge cannot simply be destroyed because it's inconvenient or threatening to the current power structure." "What are you suggesting, Colonel?" Bren asked, his tone cautious. "I'm suggesting we verify the truth before 8 hours have passed, and this planet becomes a sterile wasteland. Mira, select a team volunteers only. We're going back to the underwater facility." "That's a direct violation of Admiral Caris's orders," Bren pointed out. "It is," Ro-Tal acknowledged. "You can report me if your conscience demands it, old friend." Bren's blocky features hardened. "My conscience demands I accompany you to ensure you don't do anything excessively foolish. Besides, someone with actual combat experience should be watching your back." 6 hours later, a small dropship carrying Ro-Tal, Bren Hawks, Miraval, and 4 hand-picked specialists returned to the underwater facility. They had disabled their tracking beacons and communication links to the fleet, effectively going dark. "The cleansing fleet will arrive in less than 4 hours," Ro-Tal reminded them as they re-entered the central hub. "We need to work quickly. Mira, begin the gateway activation sequence. Everyone else secure the perimeter. If the humans are monitoring this facility, they may decide to shift back upon detecting our return." As Mira worked at the control interface, Ro-Tal studied the complex equations still displayed on the holographic screens. His scientific training was limited to military applications, but even he could recognize the elegance of the mathematics involved. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Mira murmured, following his gaze. "They've found a way to mathematically describe the overlap between dimensional states, then exploit those overlaps to create a traversable pathway." "Can it be weaponized?" Ro-Tal asked the soldier in him, automatically considering tactical applications. "That's exactly what Admiral Caris would ask," she replied, with a faint smile. "And the answer is yes, theoretically. But the humans didn't use it that way. They could have shifted hostile forces directly into our fleet, or brought weapons across dimensional boundaries. Instead, they simply left." "Perhaps leaving was their weapon," Bren suggested from his position by the door. "Denying us the satisfaction of conquest. Or perhaps this is just the first phase of a more complex strategy." "Colonel," one of the perimeter guards called over the comm, "we're detecting energy fluctuations in Section 3. Possible activity." "Move to intercept, but do not engage without confirmation," Ro-Tal ordered. "Mira status. Gateway power systems online. Calibration in progress. We should have full functionality in approximately 20 minutes." Ro-Tal nodded, then froze, as he noticed a subtle change in the air, a shimmering like heat haze gradually taking form near the center of the room. The shimmering intensified, coalescing into a humanoid figure that solidified with each passing second. "Fascinating," the figure said, once fully materialized, a human male, elderly, but standing straight, dressed in simple clothing. "You actually came back. Admiral Caris must be furious." Bren Hawks immediately raised his weapon, but Rotal gestured for him to hold fire. "Who are you?" Rotal demanded. "Professor Thomas Reed, formerly of the Earth Unified Science Directorate, now Senior Observer for the Human Transitional Authority." The human smiled. "Put simply, I'm the one assigned to watch you watching us." "You've been observing our fleet since we arrived," Rotal stated. "Of course. We've had observation teams phase shifting back and forth regularly. Limited exposure naturally, the transition process is still somewhat taxing on the human physiology. But we've gathered sufficient data on your activities." "Why reveal yourselves now? Why not simply disappear and leave us wondering?" Professor Reed's expression grew serious. "Because some of us believed you deserved to know the truth. Not all humans agreed. Many wanted to simply vanish and let the Federation waste resources searching the galaxy for us. But others argued that knowledge is the foundation of understanding, and understanding the prerequisite for peace." "Peace," Bren scoffed. "The Federation came here to pacify a dangerous species that couldn't stop fighting itself." "Yes, your propaganda is quite effective," Reed nodded. "Tell me, Major Hawks, in your extensive studies of human history, did you ever examine who benefited from our conflicts? Did you trace the weapons manufacturers, the resource extractors, the financial institutions that profited from war after war? Did you notice how many of them had connections to Federation trading partners?" Bren's expression darkened. "Conspiracy theories won't—" "We found the evidence in your own classified archives," Reed interrupted. "Accessed through dimensional observation points established near Federation data centers. The Federation didn't come here to pacify us. They came because we finally stopped fighting and started unifying. Because a united humanity with our level of innovation posed a greater threat than a divided humanity with more primitive technology." Rotal found himself unable to dismiss the accusation entirely. The Admiral's eagerness to destroy evidence rather than study it suddenly seemed more sinister than cautious. "You still haven't answered my question," he said. "Why reveal yourselves? What do you want from us?" "Want nothing. We have everything we need in our phase-shifted existence. But we're offering you a choice, Colonel Tal. The same choice humanity faced, evolution or extinction." "Explain." Reed gestured toward the gateway. "This facility will be destroyed when the cleansing fleet arrives. But it's not the only gateway. There are others hidden across this planet designed to remain operational even after the surface sterilization. You and anyone who stands with you are welcome to use this technology to join us in the next phase of existence." "And what guarantee do we have that we wouldn't simply be walking into a trap into execution chambers, waiting on the other side?" Bren demanded. Reed smiled sadly. "None whatsoever. That's what makes it a choice requiring courage. But consider this, if we wanted to destroy you, we could have done so the moment your fleet arrived. The nanobiological agent you encountered. A defensive measure, yes, but one we could have deployed throughout your entire fleet simultaneously. We chose not to." A sudden alert from Mira's console interrupted the tense exchange. "Colonel, I'm detecting approaching vessels. Federation signatures. The cleansing fleet has arrived ahead of schedule." Reed's expression grew urgent. "They must have detected your unauthorized return. Admiral Caris isn't taking any chances." "How long until the gateway is operational?" Rotal asked Mira. 7 minutes at minimum. But Colonel, even if we activate it, we have no way to verify what lies on the other side without sending someone through. Rotal turned back to the human. "Professor Reed, I need more than words. I need proof that what you're offering isn't just a sophisticated trap." Reed nodded thoughtfully, then reached into his pocket and withdrew a small device. "This is a dimensional viewport. Limited range, but it should satisfy your immediate concerns." He activated it, projecting a 3-dimensional window that seemed to open into another space entirely. Through the viewport, Rotal could see a vast cityscape, unlike anything on Earth, structures that seemed to defy conventional physics, with impossible geometries and luminescent materials. Humans moved through this landscape alongside what appeared to be other species, not present in the Federation records. "This is one of our new settlements," Reed explained. "Established in the phase-shifted dimension shortly after the transition. We call it New Damascus. Those other beings you see refugees from worlds the Federation pacified before reaching Earth. Turns out, we weren't the first to discover dimensional shifting, just the first to implement it on a planetary scale." Rotal stared at the image, his certainties crumbling. "The Federation Council knows nothing of this." "The Council knows what Admiral Caris and those like him allow it to know," Reed replied. "Your time is running out, Colonel. The cleansing fleet will begin bombardment soon, and this facility will be the first target." As if to emphasize his point, the entire complex shuddered distant explosions reverberating through the structure. Perimeter defenses under attack. One of the guards reported over the comm. Federation dropships deploying combat teams. "They're not waiting for the bombardment," Bren realized. "They're coming to eliminate us personally." Rotal made his decision. "Mira, complete the gateway activation. Bren, establish a defensive perimeter around this room. Professor Reed, I need to know exactly what happens during the transition process." As Reed explained the technical details of dimensional shifting, Federation assault teams breached the outer sections of the facility. Bren and the other guards took positions at the entrances to the central hub, preparing for the inevitable attack. "Gateway online," Mira announced, relief evident in her voice. "Transition coordinates locked. We're ready, Colonel." The gateway, a massive circular structure embedded in the far wall, hummed with energy, its center shimmering with the same heat haze effect that had preceded Reed's appearance. "How do we know it works?" Bren demanded, firing a burst from his phase rifle at approaching Federation soldiers. "We don't," Rotal admitted. "Not with absolute certainty. Mira, you go first. If it's safe, signal back." "How?" she asked practically. Reed handed her another small device. "This will allow you to project a visual confirmation back through the gateway. A one-way transmission, but sufficient for your needs." Mira looked to Rotal, who nodded his approval. Taking a deep breath, she stepped toward the shimmering portal. "Lieutenant," Bren called after her, "if you find yourself in an execution chamber, try to leave a warning before they kill you." Mira's answering smile was tense but determined. She stepped through the gateway and vanished. Long seconds passed, the silence broken only by the sound of combat drawing nearer. Then a small holographic projection appeared in front of the gateway. Mira, standing in what appeared to be a receiving chamber, surrounded by curious humans and other beings. She nodded, signaling the all-clear. "It's real!" Rotal breathed, relief and wonder mingling in his voice. "Of course it's real," Reed said. "The question was never whether humans achieved dimensional transcendence. It was whether you would believe it possible." A massive explosion rocked the facility much closer this time. "They've breached the secondary perimeter," Bren reported grimly. 2 minutes, maybe less, before they reach us." "Everyone through the gateway," Rotal ordered. "Now!" His remaining team members didn't need to be told twice. They abandoned their defensive positions and rushed toward the portal, disappearing one by one into the shimmering veil. "You should go too, Professor," Rotal told the human. Reed nodded. "After you, Colonel." "I'll follow once Bren is through." The facility shook again, warning lights flashing throughout the hub as systems began to fail. Bren fired another burst down the corridor, then backed toward the gateway. "This is madness," he muttered. "Defying Admiral Caris, trusting humans, jumping into unknown dimensions. Yet here you are," Rotal observed. "Someone has to watch your back." Bren glanced at the gateway. "What do you think happens to us on the other side? Do we become like them?" "I don't know, but I'd rather discover a new truth than perpetuate a comfortable lie." The main doors to the hub exploded inward, and Federation assault troops poured through the opening. At their head stood a figure Rotal recognized immediately, Commander Vex, Admiral Caris's personal enforcer. "Colonel Tal," Vex called, his voice distorted by his combat helmet. "By order of Admiral Caris, you and your team are to be terminated for treason against the Federation." "Convenient," Bren remarked quietly. No trial, no witnesses. Rotal stepped forward, placing himself between the assault team and the gateway. Commander Vex, I am pursuing legitimate investigation of potentially revolutionary technology. The Admiral has exceeded his authority in ordering our elimination. The Admiral's authority comes directly from the Federation Council, Vex replied, raising his weapon. Now step aside. The humans have clearly compromised your judgment. Or revealed truths the Admiral would prefer remained hidden, Rotal countered. Tell me, Commander, did he explain why he's so eager to destroy this facility, rather than study it? Why knowledge of dimensional transcendence must be erased, rather than embraced? Vex's helmet tilted slightly. It is not my place to question. But it is mine, Rotal interrupted. As a Federation officer, I am sworn to pursue truth and protect the interests of all sentient beings under our protection. What happens here today will determine whether the Federation continues as a force for progress or degenerates into tyranny. For a moment, Vex seemed to hesitate. Then his weapon steadied. Last warning, Colonel. Step aside. Go, Rotal told Bren without taking his eyes off Vex. I'll be right behind you. Like hell you will, Bren growled. We both know you're planning some heroic last stand. Not happening. Without warning, he fired a sustained burst at the assault team, forcing them to take cover. Vex returned fire, his shot grazing Bren's shoulder. The Major grunted in pain, but maintained his position. Both of you go, Reed urged, suddenly reappearing from the gateway. The facility's reactor is destabilizing from the attack. This entire complex will be underwater in minutes. Rotal made a split-second decision. Bren, go, that's an order. To his surprise, Bren complied, backing toward the gateway, while maintaining suppressive fire. As he reached the shimmering portal, he locked eyes with Rotal, one final time, then stepped through. Vex used the opportunity to advance his team, spreading out to flank Rotal. It's over, Colonel. The gateway will be destroyed, and with it, all evidence of your treachery. You still don't understand, Rotal replied, backing slowly toward the portal. This gateway is just one of thousands. The humans are already gone, already evolved beyond our reach. All you're doing is ensuring the Federation remains blind to the new reality. Enough! Vex shouted, raising his weapon for a killing shot. Rotal tensed, preparing to dive for the gateway, when Professor Reed stepped in front of him directly into Vex's line of fire. The phase beam struck the human squarely in the chest, but instead of falling, Reed's form seemed to shimmer and diffract, the energy dispersing harmlessly around him. Dimensional phase shifting has its advantages, Reed remarked mildly. Then, to Rotal's astonishment, the human thrust his hand forward, and a wave of force knocked Vex and his team back across the room. How? Rotal began. Evolution, Colonel. Dimensional transcendence affects more than just location. Reed gestured urgently toward the gateway. Now go. This facility won't last much longer, and I can't maintain corporeal form in this dimension indefinitely. The entire structure groaned, water beginning to spray through cracks in the walls. Vex and his team scrambled to their feet, disoriented, but still determined. What about you? Rotal asked. Reed smiled. I'll shift back my own way. The gateway is for those who haven't yet learned the technique. Hurry. With a final nod of respect to the human, Rotal turned and stepped through the gateway. The sensation was unlike anything he had experienced, not painful, but disorienting, as if his consciousness were being stretched across multiple states of existence simultaneously. Colors he had no names for flashed through his perception, and concepts beyond language brushed against his mind. Then, abruptly, he was through, stumbling slightly, as he emerged into a brightly lit chamber. Bren caught his arm, steadying him. About time, his friend grumbled. I was about to go back for you. Rotal took in his surroundings. The chamber appeared to be a receiving area with humans and other beings monitoring equipment and assisting the newly arrived Federation officers. Beyond transparent walls, he could see the impossible cityscape from Reed's viewport, New Damascus, a city that existed in a dimension parallel to, but distinct from the one he had known his entire life. "Colonel Tal," a new voice greeted him. He turned to find a human female approaching her, bearing dignified and authoritative. "I am Prime Minister Eliza Mankind, elected leader of the Human Transitional Authority. Welcome to our dimension." Prime Minister Rotal acknowledged, struggling to process the implications of what he was experiencing. "You're Professor Reed," he stayed behind. "Thomas has always had a flair for the dramatic," she replied with a faint smile. "Don't worry, he'll return through his own dimensional shift. He's one of our more advanced practitioners." "Advanced? You mean what he did, the force projection that's common among humans now?" "Not yet common, but increasingly so. Dimensional transcendence affects consciousness, as well as physical form. We're still discovering the implications ourselves." She gestured toward a large viewing screen, showing Earth from orbit. "Would you like to see what happens next?" Rotal moved closer to the screen, Bren and Mira joining him. They watched as the underwater facility collapsed, seawater rushing in to reclaim the space. Above, the Federation cleansing fleet had moved into bombardment position, their weapons charging. "They'll sterilize the entire surface," Bren said grimly. "Everything gone just to hide the truth." "Not quite everything," Prime Minister Mankind corrected. "As Professor Reed mentioned, there are thousands of gateways still active, shielded against detection, and designed to withstand even the most thorough bombardment. And more importantly, the truth isn't limited to physical evidence." She turned to Rotal. "You and your team aren't the only Federation personnel who've discovered our transition. Others have been investigating independently, drawing similar conclusions. Some have already joined us. Others are spreading the truth within the Federation itself. Admiral Karis can destroy this facility, even scorch the Earth's surface, but he cannot erase the knowledge from every mind that has encountered it." On the screen, the cleansing fleet began its bombardment, energy weapons lancing down to strike Earth's surface. Massive explosions bloomed across continents, spreading destruction in their wake. Rotal watched in silence, feeling neither satisfaction nor dismay, only a profound sense that he was witnessing the end of one chapter in a much longer story. "What happens now?" he asked finally. "To us, to the Federation, to humanity." Prime Minister Mankind gestured around them. "Now you rest, recover, and when you're ready, you explore. This dimension offers possibilities your Federation has never imagined. As for humanity, we continue our evolution, our expansion, our exploration just as we always have, but with new horizons beyond the constraints of single-dimensional existence." "And the Federation?" Her expression grew more serious. "That depends on the Federation itself. Whether it can acknowledge its mistakes, embrace new truths, evolve beyond control and conquest. You've taken the first step by coming here, Colonel Tal. Others will follow one way or another." Rotal turned away from the screen, no longer needing to watch the destruction of a world already empty of the life it once contained. Instead, he looked out at the impossible city stretching before him, a testament to human ingenuity and adaptation. "I'd like to see more," he decided, "to understand what you've built here." Prime Minister Mankind smiled. "Of course. Professor Reed will join us shortly to serve as your guide. He has a particular interest in your perspective, Colonel." As they moved away from the viewing screen, Rotal caught a glimpse of familiar, shimmering air. Reed materializing in the chamber, unharmed, and seemingly invigorated by his encounter with Vex's assault team. "Admiral Karis won't stop with Earth," Bren warned as they walked. "Once he realizes some of us escaped, he'll commit whatever resources necessary to find this dimension, to eliminate what he perceives as a threat." "Let him try," Mira replied with newfound confidence. "He doesn't understand what he's facing. None of us did." Rotal listened to his officers debate his mind, already racing ahead to the implications. The Federation would indeed respond with everything at its disposal: fleets, technology, political maneuvering. But for the first time in his long career, He found himself questioning whether that force would prevail against the innovation spurred by necessity and the courage born of determination. "You're unusually quiet, Colonel," Reed observed, falling into step beside him as they entered a transport that would take them deeper into the city. "I'm contemplating change," Tal replied. "For an individual, for a species, for a civilization." "Ah, the philosopher emerges," Reed smiled. "You know that's what fascinated us most about your species. Your capacity for introspection, for questioning even your most fundamental assumptions. It's rarer than you might think across the cosmos." The transport accelerated, carrying them away from the gateway facility and toward the heart of New Damascus. Through its transparent walls, Tal could see humans and other beings going about their lives in this impossible place, working, creating, evolving. In the distance, faint echoes of Earth's destruction registered on the city's monitoring systems, final shock waves rippling across dimensional boundaries. But here, in this phase-shifted reality, humanity had not ended. It had transformed, transcended, become something new, while retaining what had made it unique. "We're already everywhere," Tal murmured finally, understanding the drone's cryptic message. Reed nodded, a knowing gleam in his ancient eyes. "Now you begin to see. Not an end, Colonel Tal, but a beginning, for all of us." As the transport carried them deeper into the dimensional city, Tal found himself considering possibilities he had never before imagined. The Federation fleet still hung in orbit around a now empty Earth, unaware that they had not conquered humanity, but merely witnessed its evolution. Admiral Caris would report his version of events, and the Federation Council would record the pacification of yet another troublesome species. But the truth would spread, whispered first among the curious, then debated by the thoughtful, eventually embraced by the visionary. And Tal, once the Federation's loyal enforcer, would be there to witness it all. The birth of a new understanding, the expansion of consciousness beyond dimensional constraints. The promise of a future limited only by imagination and courage. Behind them, Earth burned. Ahead, infinity beckoned. And everywhere watching from just beyond the veil of perception, humanity waited, having already made its choice. Not extinction, but transcendence.